So welcome. I want to jump right in because I spontaneously changed my plan this morning, just right on my way to dropping off my kids at school. I had something else planned, and then my 11-year-old was talking to me. There was a truck that zoomed around us illegally, dangerously, too fast, and so I had a response of like, "What a jerk," or something like that. And she said, "Oh, let me tell you about this new mindfulness thing that I learned, and I loved it so much. It was a reminder to me, and nothing is better than having your 11-year-old teach you new mindfulness skills." And so I just loved it and wanted to pass it on. And she said, "Maybe you could teach that this morning and give me credit." So this one's dedicated to Zane. And she had lots of different versions of it. She uses it to manage some anxiety, and so she has created different versions of it based on what her situation is. So I wanted to share it. So the tool is S.T.O.P. And it's an acronym. And so S.T.O.P, in its kind of original form, how it was developed to serve those of us struggling in anxiety in any moment, is a reminder to stop, to take a breath, to observe, and then proceed. So I want to talk about each one of those because I think it's a really great, easy skill set. So S.T.O.P, when we think about that from our brain standpoint, what we're doing is going from mindless to mindful. We're going out of habit and into intention. We're moving from the limbic brain into the thinking brain. So we're purposefully coming out of this, what guides our thought, emotion, and behavior, which is about 95% unconscious thought and training. So what a jerk was, I didn't even have to like really think that through. It just came right out, right? So because I have this association with how people are supposed to be on the road and how to treat me and my precious cargo. So stop, we move it from mindless to mindful. Take a breath. What we're doing in that is bringing in oxygen into our system, and we are activating that parasympathetic nervous system. So we're activating our resiliency part of our brain, our caregiving part of our brain. We're putting the brake on our stress response and the stress hormones that come along with that response. So taking in a breath is very much a physiological process for us as humans. Observe, we get curious. What are my thoughts about this? What are my assumptions about this? What does self-care look like right now? How do I want to be in relationship to this thing? What would serve me better? Where do I feel this in my body? What are the sensations that are happening for me, right? So we go inward, what's happening in the system, a very mindful process, and then proceed. Proceed means I'm proceeding now mindfully. I'm proceeding with intention. And in the case of this truck that went around us this morning, what we did, we worked through it using this skill set. And what we did is use a tool that I had learned from Brene Brown long ago, which is the assume the best in people. It's so easy for us to just go, "What a jerk. He's not safe on the road," and blah, 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 blah. But instead we started, what else might be true? And we made up this whole scenario of like, maybe his grandmother fell and broke a hip and he's hurrying up, trying to get into her. And we both, and my daughter literally said, "Oh, I hope he makes it in time." Right? Like it switched everything. We had no control over this person. We have no idea what the real story is. We will never know. And so why not assume the best? Because for us, it moved us from to empathy and compassion. The other ways that she uses that for T, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, is think about it. She said, with anxiety, what she does is I think about the reasonability of my thought that I'm having. Like, is it even reasonable, or is anxiety running the show? Which I love that. And the other thing she said she uses T for is to talk about it. So she said sometimes that means she talks about it to herself. She just has an internal dialogue. We talked about how that might mean journaling, talking to yourself through journaling, or talking to a caring, trusting person or a professional if it's really, if you can't, if the self-talk isn't helpful. So stop. I love that. So stop, take a breath, or whatever your T wants to be, observe and proceed. So we're going to use that in our practice this morning. So go ahead and close your eyes or take a soft gaze. And bring to mind this morning something that maybe is an automatic thought process for you. Maybe it's a relationship you have with somebody, an ongoing meeting, a challenging behavior, yourself or somebody else, failure and moving towards a goal, or stopping some thinking or habit that's no longer serving you. So bring to mind something. And if you can't, just listen along, and you can still very much go through this practice. And as you're bringing that to mind, just find your body in this moment. Find your breath in this moment. Noticing the scenario that you brought to mind. This is the stop part. And imagining yourself, visualizing yourself stopping what is probably an automatic reaction, a habitual reaction, a habitual thought, a habitual emotion attached to this challenge that you've brought to mind. Visualize yourself pausing. And then we'll practice together right now as you keep this in mind. Take a breath. Visualize yourself and actually do it now, taking a big inhale and a long, slow exhale. And you might find that as you do that, your shoulders drop. Your belly softens. Kind of move into a more intentional breath. When we take a breath, we can do things like the box breathing that we practiced on here before, where we do inhale for 4, pause for 4, exhale for 4, pause for 4. We might choose a breath that is our 4-7-8 breathing, where we inhale for 4, we hold for 7, we exhale for 8. It might just be one big cleansing breath. Reminding ourselves that this breath is always accessible to us, and that it serves as an anchor moving out of stress and into mindful, intentional relationship with what is happening. We're activating our parasympathetic nervous system as we bring the breath in. We're creating a brain that is better aligned to deal with the stress. And then we move to O, observe. Again, in relationship to this challenge that you're visualizing or bringing to mind, what are the thoughts about it? What are the assumptions about yourself, about the world, about others? What feelings or sensations are present in your body? What does self-care look like? How do you care for yourself in relationship to this stress or this challenge? How do you support yourself and build resiliency? What do you want to think or do in relationship to the stress or challenge? And then P, proceed. Choosing your response, being mindful of how you move forward, building a purposeful relationship with what you can control and what you can't control. How do you move forward with purpose? Being in alignment with your values, with how you want to be. We're going to take a quiet moment before we leave this together, just to breathe, to consider what your experience was with this and how you might use stop today. Keeping your breath moving in and out as you ponder this and explore this. Breathing in, breathing out. Letting this mindfulness tool settle into your toolkit. And consider how you might remind yourself of this tool. Is there a visual you can create? Is there an anchor that you can create? How do you remind yourself that you have this tool? It's so easy to slip into our automatic. They're well ingrained brain pathways. And as we close, let's take a couple of those big breaths together. Inhaling, and as you inhale, noting it, breathing in. And as you exhale, note it, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Last time together, breathing in, breathing out. Slowly opening your eyes and coming back together. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Be well. I hope you stop a lot in your going. Be well. Bye, everyone. Take care.